A big rebuild is necessary if we're gonna push up the table. The first signing is also the biggest. We've somehow got Moukoko to join us from Dortmund. He's unhappy about not getting playing time there, so we only have to pay 8.25 million. What a front three we're about to have this season. Chanusen, Nelson Viper and Moukoko. Next we bring in goalkeeper Martin van der Voort for 11.75 million from RB Leipzig, midfielder Branko van den Boomen for 3.2 million from Ajax, centre-back Amos Pieper for 3.1 million from Bayer Leverkusen, and left-back Aaron Center for 2.5 million from Paderborn. We also tried signing Jan Niklas Beste on a free, but he decided to join Southampton. I'm not too fussed about it though, as we didn't really need him that badly. We've sold even more players than we brought in. Levin Estonali, Emmanuel Ferrai, Fabio Balde, Victor Wanyama, Noah Katterbach, Guilherme Ramos, Ransford Yeboah Königsdorfer and Zach Steffen have all been sold for two reasons. They weren't really cutting it anymore, and to get new players in. Pep has just returned to Bayern before the season starts, so it's basically gonna be impossible to win the league now. That's just great.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The first game of the season is the first round of the DFB Pokal, where we beat amateur side Fürstenwalde 7-1. Moukoko got himself 4 goals on his official debut, as he started his Hamburger career in the best way possible. The season preview has us in 13th, the place we finished last year. Ideally I'd like to see us get into Europe, and around 6th to 7th is my goal. And I do genuinely think that with the summer's additions, we'll be able to pull it off. In the season opener, we controlled the game, as we hammered Augsburg 3-0. Moukoko scored twice and Viper scored a final one, so our striker partnership is definitely up and running. Against newly promoted Hannover in the second game, we scrape a 2-1 win as Viper got both. Now we bring in our 6th signing. And it's the legend himself, Toni Kroos. We bought him for 550k from Real Sociedad, and even though his physicals are quite bad, he could actually contribute, and especially with heaps of experience. And I also wanted to give him the chance to retire at the German club, as I think it's a nice touch for a legend of the game. Against Union Berlin, Kroos had to start as Reis got himself injured, but he handled it brilliantly. We scraped a 1-0 win as Moukoko scored from Van den Boomen's pass. Kroos had a great game where he ran the play like so many times before. We lose the next 2 games against Mönchengladbach and Werder Bremen. Against Gladbach we had the lead until the 78th, when Weigl scored this outrageous long shot. They then scored in the 95th to win it.
What the hell?
And against Werder Bremen we lost 1-0 after hitting the woodwork twice and scoring 2 offside goals. Against Hoffenheim, Moukoko scored twice in the opening 10 minutes. Govolsen and Biskov then scored to bring it back level. Kroos then hit a post from this free kick, but Jata scored a rebound. And then in the 90th, Moukoko scored what might just be the nicest goal I've seen on this game to complete his hat-trick. Just look at this. So we win 4-2 and Moukoko is on fire. What a player, what a signing, and what a man.
What can this boy not do? His reputation is growing like Pinocchio's nose when his wife finds nudes on his phone.
The board are ecstatic with our form, and rightly so. So they want to give me a new contract. I've signed on a dotted line for 4 more years with 32k in wages. Against Schalke, RB Leipzig, Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg, we pick up 4 great results. We win 2-1 against Schalke as Viper and Moukoko got our goals. Then we got the same result against RB Leipzig as Chanusen and Moukoko scored our goals in that game. Then we drew 2-2 against Bayer Leverkusen. Chanusen scored a Panenka pen and Moukoko of course scored again after this brilliant pass from Viper. We were 2-0 up, so it is a bit annoying to draw 2-2. But it's a good result nonetheless. And finally against Wolfsburg we win 3-2. Chanusen got a brace and Moukoko got the final one. In the DFB Pokal second round we lose 2-1 against Mönchengladbach. It's not really a priority this season, but a cup run is of course always welcome. But after 10 league games we're in 3rd. We've got 22 points and we're only 1 point off Gladbach in first. What a start to just our second season back in the Bundesliga. Moukoko is also the top scorer with 11 in 10 games. The next 2 games we win 1 and draw 1. We win 2-0 against Frankfurt as Chanelson and Moukoko scored 1 each. Viper got a brace in the next game against Stuttgart to put us 2-0 up. We then bottled it in the closing stages, so we draw 2-2. Johan Bach has been causing a fuss lately, as he thinks he's not getting a deserved amount of playing time. So I've decided to sell him, so he's going to Lokomotiv Moscow for 2.3 million, and I've brought in Morlai Silla on a free transfer to replace him. The next period of games would turn out to be horrible. We lose deservedly 2-1 against Mainz and 2-0 against Bayern as we've lost our way of play overnight. Now the youth intake preview came through, and we've got ace at both goalkeepers and strikers, so it's looking good. But something not so good is that Toni Kroos has decided to retire after the season. It's very disappointing, but I do understand it. And it is a part of why I signed him, so that he could retire in a German club. Against Freiburg we once again lose. We lose 2-1 despite having 2.23 XG compared to Freiburg's 0.8. After that we got hammered 4-1 by Köln. We once again had more XG than them, but we just forgot how to finish all of a sudden.
Lindelof has been about as useful as Stephen Hawking's treadmill. And that's before he died, and after. Useless. Absolutely useless.
Thankfully though, it's the Christmas break now, so hopefully we can come back stronger from the break. We make a few moves in the transfer window. We sell Jonas Meffer to Wolfsburg for 2.8 million as he's just not been playing this season. So it's better to move him on for a small fee than to let him stay and not do anything. We then signed Thiago Giallo for 1.2 million from Juventus. His contract was due in the summer, but we desperately need a reinforcement in defense, so I decided to pay the small fee to get him now, as I hope he can transform our defensive line. He definitely didn't transform our defense in one game, as we lost 3-0 to Dortmund. So as we've lost 5 fucking games in a row, I'm gonna have to change something. I'm changing the tactics to a 4-4-2 diamond. And I don't really know if it'll work, but I have to try something. The league table, by the way, looks like this at a halfway point. We're in 8th, and it's pretty good, but considering we were in 2nd before these last 5 games, it's horrific. The next game against Hannover, we have to win, and it started brilliantly, as we were 5-0 up after 38 minutes. Van den Boomen, Van der Bremt, Chanelson, Moukoko and Viper scored our goals. But then Hannover scored in the 56th, and then in the 67th. And then again in the 79th. But thank God, because we didn't concede again, and ended up winning 5-3 to finally win a game again. But we then lost 2-1 to Augsburg to return to our old form. Now though, we've just signed Portuguese winger Jota on a free transfer, and we're gonna make a few tweaks to our tactic in order to get him into the side. And if it doesn't work out, we can always just sell him in the summer for a nice fee. As for the tactical changes, I've taken out one of the midfielders, specifically the DM, and put Jota on the right wing and moved Chanelson as a bit more of a left-sided cam, but not a winger. So it's an asymmetrical system, which I hope is gonna push us into Europe. Against Union Berlin in the 20th league game, Moukoko gave us the lead after 20 minutes with this great solo run, but Tessen then equalized for Union right before the break. But right after it, Doki scored this own goal to give us the lead again. Viper then scored in the 73rd to get us a 2-goal buffer. But just a minute later, Thiago Giallo managed to get his second yellow and get sent off. LOL! Fortunately, all that happened was that Vertessen shot this weak shot straight at Van der Voort. So we secure ourselves an extremely important win. We win 2 of the next 3 games to continue our good start to the second half of the season. First, 3-2 win against Mönchengladbach, where Morlai Silla scored the winner with this banger. Then a 2-2 draw against Werder Bremen, and finally a 3-0 hammering against Hoffenheim, where Jota got a brace to get his first goals for the club. Then it was time to face Schalke away. Moukoko started brilliantly by scoring a delightful chip after 17 minutes. Then he scored his second 6 minutes later. And then a third right before the break with this insane volleyed finish from Kroos' incredible pass over the top. Moukoko has just scored a first half hat-trick. What a player he is! And to top it all off, as if it wasn't enough already, he scored a fourth in the 86. We win 4-0 against Schalke, as Moukoko scores all 4. What's this guy made of?
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Against RB Leipzig at home, we take an early lead through Moukoko. Who else? Seško then scored this 9 minutes later. Right before the break, after the whistle should have been blown, Pieper's got this own goal as Leipzig got the lead. Moukoko then scored this offside goal, which Shata finally scored for us to equalize in the 74th. Viper then scored an offside goal where his toenail was offside. And to top it all off, Leipzig got this incredibly cheap pen in the 94th, which Openda converted. But there's a highlight straight from kickoff, and Moukoko scores from Muheim's low cross in the 95th. So we draw 3-3 against Leipzig in a bonkers game. But I'm starting to think Red Bull might have a few refs in their pocket, you know? Because how the hell have they got that on goal and that pen? Either way, after 25 league games, we're in 5th. We've climbed up 3 places since the halfway point, and as long as we keep it up, we'll secure European football for next season. Now we're facing Bayer Leverkusen away in the 26th league game. They took the lead from this crazy quick cross from Jelle to Reze. We then equalized in the 50th through Moukoko, but Schick scored this in the 75th to take back the lead. Jota then scored for us to equalize late on in the 87th, but once again we concede. Leverkusen took this quick free kick in the 94th, which we were in no way, shape or form ready for, so we conceded, and we lost 3-2.
That midfield has got the positional sense of a blindfolded slug trying to find a Mars bar at a Weight Watchers convention. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
The youth intake has just been announced, and we have a good promising goalie and a good right winger, but otherwise there's not a lot to write home about. But when we're talking about youth, Mikael Seifert has just been included in the next gen list, and he's 10th. That is crazy. I knew he was good, but that good? Fuck hell. The next 4 games we win 2 and draw 2. We start with an emphatic 3-0 win against Wolfsburg as Viper, Center and Moukoko score our goals. Then we undeservedly get a 1-1 draw against Frankfurt. They had over double our XG and we somehow went home with a draw, so I'll take it. Then we got a 4-3 win in a pretty nuts game against Stuttgart. We went 1-0 down, got back and led the game 4-1, but then conceded twice to make it nerve-wracking in the final few minutes. Thankfully, we got away with a 4-3 win. And finally, we draw 2-2 against Mainz. We were 2-1 up when Kroos took a loose touch and dived in to tackle the ball. But he only got the man, so he got a straight red. Somehow though, we only conceded once, so we got away with a 2-2 draw. So after 30 league games, we're in 6th. It's a brilliant season so far, and we're almost guaranteed to get some sort of European football for next season. We kind of actually want to get the Conference League though, if you think about it, since we'll have a bigger chance of winning the Conference than winning the Europa. But I'll obviously be very happy with both. By the way, Moukoko has had such a good season that he could break a 62-year-old record. He's currently on 30 goals in all competitions, and if he gets past 32, he'll break Uwe Seeler's record for most goals in a season, which has stood since the 1963-64 season. That says a lot about how good of a season Moukoko's had. Now we're facing Bayern. I thought this would be an impossible game to win, but boy was I wrong. Moukoko and Viper got a goal each in the first half, and Bayern didn't have a single clear-cut chance. But our sheet did get dirty, as Coman scored this in the 93rd, but we actually win 2-1 against Bayern fucking Munich. And it's actually so deserved as well.
Get in! Bloody love it! Put a smile on your face, get your red dress on, Sue's in the house and she's ready for fun. Get in!
The next 2 games we draw 1-1 with Freiburg and 2-2 with Köln. Against Freiburg, 1-1 was a fair result and deserved for both teams. And against Köln, we kind of deserved to lose, but I'll definitely take it. And we've now secured our place in the Europa League. Now at this point we had nothing to really play for, but Dortmund certainly had. They're in a title fight with both Leipzig and Bayern, so we'll look to spoil Dortmund's party. Viper and Chanusen got themselves a goal each in the opening 11 minutes. Fulkrug then scored this in the 66th to make it 2-1. But just 4 minutes later, Viper got his second of the night, as Moukoko was unselfish in front of goal. So we win 3-1 against Dortmund. What a performance! After the finished league season, we got 5th, an incredible second season back in the Bundesliga. And we're heading into the Europa League next season. Moukoko also got the top scorer title in his first season at the club with 28 goals in 34 matches. He's also 4 goals ahead of second place Seshko. Chanusen also got the top assister for the season with 12 assists. And I genuinely believe that without the poor run right around Christmas, we could have been title contenders. So if we could cut those losses from our season next season, we could actually be in contention for the title. And we've also shown that we can genuinely compete with the top sides this season. So I'll be looking to make even more progress in the league next season.
Are you sure about that?